This is Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given is not intended to replace that of your business advisor. Now, let's get down to talking about your business, your success. This is Business Talk.
Good afternoon, Peg.
Good afternoon. Great to be here.
Yes, it is. A beautiful day in Ohio.
It is. It's great. You know what? We're going to talk about today, but I was in Canada for the last week.
Right.
And I loved Canada, by the way. Beautiful country. And it's always nice to come home.
Right. It's good to come home. It's good to be away. It's good to come home. So really, they're our friends.
Yes.
For sure.
There's no doubt.
Oh, Canada. We love you. All right. And Peg and I are business coaches, and we work with a whole variety of companies, a lot of different types of companies, some very large companies. Maybe 25% of them are really big. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of them are 20 to 200 person firms, and we help them grow.
Right. And we do that in a way. I talk about us being we're top performing coaches. So we work with people who are doing really well, who are top performers, and they're looking to get to the next level.
They want to get better.
It's really,
better.
And Pete, I always like how you describe it, is we're like trainers. Like if, where you go and you work out, but and we know the difference when we have a trainer versus us doing it ourselves.
We do more exercise.
Yes, with the trainer, we get in better shape.
Because lately we haven't had one for a while. We've been doing it ourselves. So you can let yourself off the hook, right? Have any of you out in the audience ever done that?
Exactly.
I'm going to get this done by this date. And pretty soon, if you're the boss, you can let yourself off the hook, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so as a business coach, an executive coach, what we do is we don't let you off the hook.
We hold people accountable.
Right. To get there farther,
to their own
faster.
Goals.
Yes.
Right. Their goals and their family's goals. So our show is focused on your business and your success and how do you get more for your personal life out of your business and for your employees as well. And we always start with some good news because a lot of times there's bad news coming at you, right?
Right.
And we've had some recently, and it just happens with the radio, the television, the newspaper, everything you're listening to. And so we'd like to start things with good news. Now, this is funny that I would say good news. It says, you're fired, this article I have here. No, wait, keep working. Well, the good news in this is when people are being let go, sometimes they're being asked to work as contractors and stay on longer. And the unemployment rate's getting low enough where it's getting more difficult to fill jobs quickly. And they're asking people to hang in there and help work, even though they've been laid off. So the number of layoffs is much lower than it's been.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that people are being let go because they're being laid off, not necessarily because of poor performance.
Right.
Okay.
Now, there's one paragraph here. It says, Americans are less likely to be laid off than at any point in the last 50 years.
Wow.
Now, that's a long time.
Things are doing well for us.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about that. Is Sharon Lechter, who is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Is she related to Dr. Lechter from Hannibal?
That is a different person.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right, good.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that because she had some really neat news to report as well.
So look at this. For every 10,000 people in the workforce, this is in the U.S., of course, 66 people claim new unemployment benefits for every 10,000 in July, trending at the lowest point on record since 1967, which is a very long time ago.
Wow.
That's crazy. Okay, good. So that's good news.
That is good news.
Good news. The other one that I just thought was interesting, it's neutral news. Employers pull the plug on remote work. And we have clients that have employees that are working from home. We have a client that's this individual wants to move to another state, and the person's going to continue to work in this other state. And it will help the business, I believe. But the title of this is Employers Pull the Plug on Remote Work. A lot of big companies, IBM, Bank of America, Best Buy, and Reddit, are among the employers that have ended or reduced remote work arrangements recently as managers demand more collaboration, closer contact with customers, and more control over the workday. So isn't it interesting how things, ebb and flow? They're cyclical, and they're starting to pull people back in cutting back a little bit.
I can see that.
We are working with a lot of companies who are really focused on collaboration amongst employees.
Exactly.
Multiple companies.
The collaboration.
And you can't do that when you're at home.
When you're at home, the collaboration is a little more challenging based on geography. Absolutely. Well, that's some good news. Good news.
The thing we want to talk about today is Peg went to an international coaches conference, which is part of our global organization. Action Coach has a North American conference and a global conference every year. And then our territory has conferences during the year. So we learn a lot throughout the year. We read And then we also go to meetings with lots of other coaches, and they bring in these awesome speakers, world-class authors and other people to talk about how to get things done and how to help people more.
And you would have gone, but your daughter, and
Yeah.
I'm going to brag on your daughter got accepted to University of Virginia
Right.
Medical School.
Good
And
job, Emily.
It was her white coat ceremony that you
Right.
didn't want to miss, where she gets presented with her doctor's coat.
Right.
And so you weren't able to make it to this conference, which is unusual.
And she was really happy that I was there, so I was glad.
And
that
you were really
I
happy.
Went. Oh yeah, it was wonderful. It was really, really nice. Yeah, it was nice.
So what we wanted to do is...
And because of that, your daughter
Oh, right.
went to the conference.
So my daughter, Allie Burley, got to go to the conference.
Who's 16 years old.
She's 16 years
Yeah.
old, and she got to experience what we're going to share with you on this show.
Right.
We want to talk a little bit about the learning and how valuable it is. So here's one thought: is we want you to take away today some learnings that we had from all over the world, but also think of this: how much who listening spends more money on their kids' education than their own?
Almost everybody.
Correct. So we're spending, we're earning money to give our kids education, but yet we're
Right.
not.
And it's really important to us, right? It's
Right.
critical.
In order for us to grow, we need
Right.
to invest in ourselves.
Yep.
Because the more you learn, the more you'll earn, because you're learning more. And if you think about this, if you're the support of your family and you're supporting their education, then what investments are you making in yourself?
So if you're a business owner or a leader in a portion of a business, you really need to think about your next 6 months or next year and say, okay, a year from now, what would I really like to be better at? And whatever that is, and then find someone that can teach you, or a workshop or a seminar or something. And it may be flying to another city or whatever, but it's worth it.
Right.
Take a day or two and go.
And when you hire Pete and I as coaches, that's part of our role, is education.
Right.
So when you say, okay, how much am I going to invest in myself? That's why people hire coaches.
Right.
Because they say, you know what, I am going to step up. I am, and it won't be as much as your college education.
Well, we do the Reader's Digest version of all these books that we read. We condense it down and we give you the tools to use in your business, in your personal life.
So it's accelerated learning.
Right.
Accelerated learning so that you can grow. And then you make more money. That's how this process works.
Right. And you're happier.
Right, exactly.
Maybe you get more done with less time. That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. Good.
Very true.
Good. So we're going to talk about some things today from this conference, and it was in a beautiful city, Vancouver.
Vancouver,
right?
Canada. It was beautiful.
Awesome.
Allie and I flew out there and just really were able to surround ourselves with some really great people. If you are interested in some of these conferences that we go to, our clients go.
Our next one is in San Diego in
Yes.
February. We've got several clients already going.
Oh,
so.
yes. And so if you want to call us for information on that.
Sure, 614-306-7922. We'll talk about it. And the next one is in February. The one after that is in Australia.
In August.
By the Great Barrier Reef.
Right, Hamilton
Northeastern
Beach.
Australia?
Or Hamilton Island. Hamilton Island.
Cool.
So obviously they have them in places that are beautiful so that you can
Right.
enjoy the place either
Right.
before or after the conference and enjoy yourself. And so this conference, we had multiple speakers, and that's what this is. We had Brad Sugars, who is he is the creator of Action Coach. So he was, before coaching was ever around. This was 25 years ago. He started Action Coach and as a franchise, which is what Pete and I are a part of. So we want to share some of his learnings. And the whole conference was about building wealth, which was interesting. And then we also had Sharon, again, I was saying Lecter.
Lecter? Okay.
So there's a book called Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Yeah.
And Robert and Sharon built that. They wrote the book
and wrote the book together
and built that whole program.
Okay.
And now she is with the Napoleon Hill Foundation.
I see.
Which we're going to talk a little bit about what she said. And then we had Michael Lozier, who is the author.
So is that how you pronounce his name now?
It is, and I still don't know that I have it right. I mean, we always say Michael Lozier.
Michael Lozier,
and it's Michael Lozier.
Lozier, okay.
So he is from Canada.
He's from Canada. He's not a Frenchman, but he's from Canada.
But he wrote 3 books.
Great guy.
Law of Attraction, Law of Connection, and Your Life's Purpose. And great. I mean, I got to spend time with him, had lots of conversations with all of them, and just brilliant. But today, what we're going to dig into, Pete, is some of Brad's message, Brad Sugar's message.
Start with that.
And Sharon's message.
Great. Let's do it.
And it's good. What we're going to go through is teaching you a little bit about wealth, a little bit about business,
okay,
and some of the watch outs, and some of the ideas of what you should do with it. So
what to do and what not to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
We want to go through some, and so that as you're listening to the show, and again, these are all recorded, so we will throw this on our website, takeactionbusinesscoaching.com, so that if you're not able to take notes because you're in the car, you can always go back
Please
through.
don't take notes if you're in the car.
Yes. You'll be able to go back through on takeactionbusinesscoaching.com and listen to it again.
And again, Brad Sugars is the founder and the CEO of Action Coach.
Action Coach, absolutely. So when we return, we'll go through some of the learnings.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more Business Talk.
We're talking today, it's Peg and Pete with Business Talk, and we're talking about Peg's trip to Vancouver, Canada. And you had several hundred coaches from around the world, 250 to 300?
Yeah, a couple hundred.
Somewhere in that range.
Yes.
And some great speakers. A lot of these folks are authors, and we've seen Michael before, but you want to start with Brad.
Well, I do, but also I think that everybody should know that Pete and I won a very prestigious award globally, that we have the highest retention rate of clients in the entire world.
No, it's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Out of 70 countries. So what that means is that when you sign on with us, and this is without contracts, we don't sign contracts, and we say we will get you results and you will stay as long as you get results.
We used to, and we decided that's just a waste of time. If you want to keep coaching and we're getting results for you, we keep going.
So we, speaking to you today in Columbus, Ohio, out of 70 countries, hundreds of coaches, we are the #1 coaching firm for retention rate.
And the number, what's the number?
72.2 months.
72 months.
Yeah, 72.2 months.
That's cool.
I found out later that the person behind us was at 70.
Yeah.
And then,
close.
It's a very close race.
Yeah, that's great, though.
So it was a really prestigious award. I mean, very prestigious. And Allie got to hear it.
Your daughter was there.
Yes, my daughter was there.
Cool.
We were so surprised.
Yeah.
Surprised, but not, because when you become a client, you tend to not leave because you're constantly learning, growing, and getting results.
So that leads to we have to go learn and read and hang around with people who have accomplished some things so we can learn how to do things better.
Right. So we'll start with Brad Sugars.
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so one of the things that the conference was about is building wealth. And how to build wealth. Okay. So Brad is a really still to this day, one of my favorite speakers.
Mm-hmm. He's very good.
He's very, very good. He's very to the point. He takes complex things, makes them easy. And so what he was talking about is how is it that you build your wealth?
Okay.
So there's different ways. Obviously, you want to have leverage. Leverage is that opportunity where you do it once, and then it pays you back again and again without you doing it.
In other words, you don't have to keep working to earn.
Right.
It's like compound interest.
Exactly. There you go. So we talked a lot about income versus wealth building. So as you are growing your business right now, or your wealth, you need to have an income producer, correct?
Right.
Whether it's a coaching business, whether it's a salary that your company pays you.
Yeah, you could be working for a company and building wealth too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be that you own a business.
Right.
It could be that you're an executive. Well, one of the things that I thought was really interesting is he said, the idea is that most people don't have a plan to build their wealth.
Okay.
And as I was looking at Pete and I do have a plan. We do have a plan. We have written out our steps. One thing we didn't have is dates by it.
On certain things.
Certain things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Which I thought, well, we should go back and put some dates on it. But really, you've got to be, there's a master of making money, and then phase 2 is a master of managing the money. Right. But if you haven't mastered making the money, it's going to be hard to be able to manage it.
Oh, sure. Right.
And what the reason I picked this topic is because what Brad started, Sharon finished. So it was a really nice continuation. Yes, okay. Sharon doing, and again, Sharon Lecter was the speaker who wrote the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that whole series with the cash flow.
And if you look that up, you'll see Robert Kiyosaki's name on that as well. But she was an co-author or worked with him?
She was a co-author,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And she was more behind the scenes, and he was more of the face,
right.
which is what he wanted. But
Sure.
they were partners.
Yeah, got it.
So one thing that as Allie and I we were listening, and they take moments to talk, one thing that Brad had said that was really valuable is how many of you have done a dream chart, which we have done. Allie has done one, Pete has done one. And if you are listening and you haven't done your dream chart, you need to do that.
Okay.
Homework. Because that's part of your plan. Because if you don't know.
Well, what is that for people who don't know?
Oh, that's a good.
Yeah.
So what it is you want to create whether it's a bucket list as a reference guide. It's things that
I don't like that term because it means you're dead, right? I mean, come on.
Yes. So it's
Dream chart sounds better.
It's what you want to achieve. And it could be like, I want to give so much money to charity.
Yeah.
I want to have more friends. I want to be in great shape. I want financial independence. So you create pictures, or you want things. You could want a boat or a car or a house.
Or pictures of you hanging out with your kids having fun, those
Yes.
kind of things, right? Visualization.
Absolutely. Very important, because it's all part of the process of understanding what we want. Because
Sure.
if we don't take the time to do that, we'll never get there.
Well, one thing that I take from that is that when you have clarity on your goals, you're a lot more likely to push and do the things you don't want to do to get to your goals.
Absolutely.
If you're crystal clear on them, you're more likely to get things done, to achieve them.
And he was talking about that. And so first step is, if you haven't done your dream chart, it's really good. What you do is you go online and you search the things you want. You grab the pictures, put it on a Word document or on a PowerPoint, and there's your dream chart.
Gotcha.
It shouldn't take you that long.
Very simple. Yeah.
The hardest part is deciding what you want. And that's, you got to decide what you want.
Yeah.
But then here's the one thing that we did not do that we're going to do is, he said, how many people have dream charts? And in this room, most people did.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are
Vast
high
majority of
achievers,
them. Yeah.
high achievers are going to have dream charts. You're going to have a plan.
Right.
That's how you achieve what you've gotten to this point. And if you haven't, that'll be your first step.
Okay.
Then you price out your dream chart.
Oh, price it out. Okay.
Price it out. And so, like, for example, Allie, on her dream chart, she has a horse, right?
She's had that for a while on her
Right.
dream chart.
She
Yes.
has.
Yeah.
And she had Australia.
She mentioned it a few nights ago when I had dinner with you guys.
Yes. Yes.
I want a horse.
I want a horse. Well, price that out. What does it mean to have a horse?
Yep.
What is it? And so that was one really good takeaway that you listening, I thought would be good. Another one, and you might know this, obviously, I think it's some of it's logical, but you just need to hear it again, is how much money do you need to save for your wealth building?
Right. Right.
So-
Very logical.
Yes. So a lot of times what was interesting is, Brad said, ideally, if you could do 50% living expense, 50% wealth building, ideally.
Right.
Now, that might not be ideal for a lot of us.
Now, the average American now is saving about 5.
Well, I'm going to give you some statistics.
Right.
After this, on the next break,
Oh, good.
I'm going to go into statistics
Great.
of where we are economically on personal wealth and handling that.
Okay.
It's really interesting of where we are.
Sometimes it's shocking, right?
It's going to be shocking when I tell you this.
Okay.
But one thing to think about is having your children, and I think anybody 16 years or older going to a conference like this, it's
Right.
super valuable.
Oh, sure.
Because here Allie was like, I didn't realize it was 50%. It's 20 to 50% you want to save
Right.
per. And then what was really interesting is they talked about your growth. Like, when are the years that you're really saving? So think about this. Okay, so you're a baby, right? So your life expectancy in general is, we're going to say 82 years.
Okay.
Okay. So the first, you're a baby, right? And then you're a toddler and you're acquiring knowledge. So let's
Right.
say that's the first 25 years.
Right.
Then you're in that mode of family and you're spending a lot in those years. It's harder to create wealth in those years because you're having expenses, daycare, then you're having college expenses. So you're saving for and spending on all of that. There is a sweet spot for building wealth, and it's after the children and before you retire. And so if you calculate
Yeah, I was
that,
going to say, when the kids get into even grade school, it becomes expensive. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't stop until they're out of college.
pretty much so.
Yeah.
So in some cases, your wealth building, let's say you're 55 and the kids are off to college.
Okay.
I mean,
They're out.
they're out. It's
They're
different
mostly
for each
off the
person.
payroll. Mostly.
It's mostly, and it's different per person. Then let's say you're probably not going to retire until you're in the 73-ish if you do retire.
Okay.
So you basically have 20 years of real savings.
Yeah.
And that's opportunity for the savings to get what you want. And so the financial life expectancy and understanding that. So if you can start saving early and then adjust your living expenses and your living style to that with you saving, obviously, that's what you want to do.
Right.
I mean, that's the logical part, which was good. It was good for Allie. I mean, can you imagine if you take your child to this and at the age of 16, they're learning what they should do?
Oh, right.
I mean, and so as you're looking at building wealth, a couple things is what are you reading, and look at your environment. Who are you hanging out with?
Okay.
Because the people that you hang around with, the 5 people that you hang around with the most, are going to be plus or minus 10% of what you make.
Mm-hmm.
So as you challenge yourself to hang around higher level people, so here we are.
You're going to start thinking differently.
You think differently and you increase your vision.
Right.
So all of a sudden we're at a table and we're with a bunch of millionaires, and Allie's here with a bunch of millionaires, and they're asking her great questions, asking, well, Allie, where do you want to be on the chart of entrepreneurship, which we're going to go through in a minute.
Okay.
And they make you think differently. And that's another reason why people hire us as coaches, is because when we come in there, we're going to
we ask them questions they haven't heard before.
Right. And your vision increases.
Right.
Because it won't be unusual for us to go into a business owner who's making plenty of money and we say, but what about owning a different business?
Well, that's actually one of our clients who went to the last North American conference said that was the big thing he took away from it. His vision got bigger.
Your vision does
The conference made his vision bigger.
And you're talking to people all over the world, highly successful people. If you want to be a part of this, then you'll want to be call us. And see, and we can get you details at
614-306-7922. And the other thing I was going to say there is you realize that, and I think this client, John, did that, these folks are very successful, of course, but they're not any different than you and I.
No.
They're really not.
No.
They just took some different actions, and maybe their mindset's a little different.
It's usually mindset, which is why you have coaching and why you go to conferences.
That's why you take different actions. If you can get your mind focused in a little bit different spot, you'll get more done.
And that's what this is all about.
Okay.
And if you're looking at your environment and you're looking how to build wealth, you're going to look at it in one of 3 ways. Either you're going to have a business that you own, and that will be building your profit, obviously for profit. There's real estate, obviously, and then the third is shares. Mm-hmm. So looking at those 3 entities.
I mean, the stock market.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are the 3 areas that you want to grow in? Mm-hmm. So for Pete and I...
And it could be all 3.
Well, exactly. So you and I have done all 3.
Right.
We're doing all 3. So we have a couple businesses. We want to have more.
Right.
We're doing some investing in real estate.
Right.
And then we also are doing some shares.
Right.
So that's all part of your plan. So what does your wealth plan look like? Have you written it down? And what are you going to do about it? Because that's how we build wealth. And when we return, we want to talk a little bit about Sharon. I want to get into what Sharon talked a little bit about.
Sharing our wealth?
Sharon.
I'm just kidding.
Oh. And I want to talk a little bit about Brad. He does go into and talking about how do you build a business?
Right.
When you're looking to buy a business, how do you know what to buy?
Well, the other thing, and I was kind of kidding about the Sharon thing, but a lot of these coaches are very charitable. They give away a lot.
Oh, yes.
And that's one of the things you can do when you have some funds.
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
Well, good afternoon again. We're talking about Peg's trip to Vancouver with her daughter Allie.
Yes.
And she went to the global conference for a group of coaches, and there are probably 250 coaches there, and a lot of great speakers and authors and people that helped you raise your sights a little bit.
Absolutely. And for this session right now during this break, during this session of the radio show, we are going to talk a little bit about the learnings from Brad Sugars and Sharon Lechter, who was now Brad started Action Coach and has written 20 different books, if not more. All
right. Yep.
And Sharon has written multiple books, including she's now Rich Dad, Poor Dad author, as well as the now an author of a book called with Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich Foundation. She's in charge of all of their series.
Okay, great.
So we wanted to talk. What I wanted to do is go into, right before we broke, we talked a little bit about building wealth. Well, here's one idea is we said there's 3 different ways you can do it.
Yes.
I mean,
through your business.
3, yeah.
If you have one.
Business.
You can do it through real estate. That's another one, very common.
Right.
And there could be multiple things that you have going on in that area. And then the other one is the stock market.
Exactly.
Okay.
So one thing that we wanted to talk about is building your business. So it was really interesting talking about how do you build a business? Well, one here's an idea if you're looking to buy businesses. So you want to look at your niche, right? And the way that it was really good because Brad was saying he's created his own rules.
Okay.
So when you want
Which
to
he
buy
usually
something,
does.
yes, he wants to create his own rules, and you should create your own rules.
And he calls it niche.
Yes,
right.
Niche. So it's what are the rules of buying a business? So you want to pick a niche and become an expert in that, and you want to focus on that.
Okay.
And then that becomes your formula, and that's how you buy and sell businesses.
Now, some of our clients have purchased other businesses that are in the same industry they're in as a way of growth. Grow organically through your existing clients and your own marketing effort, but also occasionally buy similar businesses.
Exactly. And the thing is, you want to really understand when to say no and when to say yes when you're looking at businesses.
Well, the nice thing about doing it that way is the individuals that we worked with that have done that, they're experts in their industry. They know their business inside and out. We know their numbers. We know how much it costs to bring in a new customer, a new client, and you can use that in your negotiations with the company you're about to buy.
Absolutely. And so here's an example. He said you'll get opportunity when you create a focus and a goal. I want to buy businesses. Well, how am I going to fund it and what am I going to buy? Okay. So look at an industry that you're an expert at. And he goes, and here's the watch out is sometimes it isn't what you're passionate at. See, one of Brad's rules is that it needs to be boring because you don't want to get involved in it. You want to create a platform. I'm thinking of you and I.
So I shouldn't buy the brewery down the street.
Right, exactly.
Even though I like to drink beer.
So, exactly. So, for example, Pete and I decided to get into a vending machine business.
Right.
And then we have my father running it. Right. So you need to have a jockey that runs it.
Yep.
You have to have it where it's leveraged so that you're not getting sucked into it. Right. And it needs to be boring. And that's sort of our rule because we don't want to do it. We want it to be a business, not a job.
Right. We don't want to buy a job.
Exactly. We don't want to buy a job. And that's what happens a lot of times is you're buying a job. And so you have to look at an industry that way. And then you have to figure out who will run it.
Right.
And then it has to follow your rules. So you make up the rules. And the rules, like we said, Brad's was, and so was Sharon's. Sharon always said this, it has to either, so in Brad's case, it needs to provide a service and fit a need.
Okay.
And then from that, what am I going to do with it? And what am I going to start seeing? So then how do we finance it? Well, guess what? If you're really good in that industry, you probably have people that could come on board and would give you money to help finance angel investors. Okay. Because you're in a circle, look at the friends around you, and then that's how you buy a business. And you can start out small, like what we did. Mm-hmm. We started out with some vending machines, very small. Right. And then we're going to do another business. So that's just one idea, again, behind is it business, real estate, or shares? And then what is my plan behind it? So
that's acquisition as a way to grow your business. And you can obviously do other things to grow your business.
Correct.
Which we do all day long.
And we do help, if you think about this, Pete, and we've helped other people grow, not organically, through acquisition. They have had a formula. Oh, yeah, absolutely. There is a formula.
Right. Certain distance from existing city, or I want to target another city that's farther away. And the things that worked in your business, you've gotten them systemized to the point where you can duplicate them somewhere else.
I love it. Exactly. So that was it was good. I mean, Brad had so many things, but if I could just capture a little bit about what he said, that was great. And then, and he said, you buy a business that either solves a problem or serves a need. That's his other thing. So it needs to be boring and it needs to either solve a problem or serve a need, period.
Well, and we have a story of a past client a few years back that had a very profitable business. And you remember who I'm talking about?
Yes.
And he started exercising a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and decided to buy a gym. And it was a sink of time and money.
Oh, he wasn't an expert in it.
Right. He was very good at his original business. It's very profitable. And he was a great technician and a good leader. And then this other business took a lot of his time, and it took a lot of money.
And he didn't have systems knowledge or a jockey.
Right.
And when we say a jockey, you need somebody to run the business.
Right. It was a big distraction.
Yes.
And a painful one.
So going into Sharon next. Sharon, so again, this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk. And what we're doing is we're going through we had a conference in Canada that we went to, and we're coming back with some of the learnings that you listening can do right away. And it's about building wealth.
And a T-shirt. You brought me a shirt,
I brought
which
you a
I really
shirt.
like. It's cool.
That is good. So Sharon, one of the things that she started with, which was astounding, she said, we are in a personal financial crisis.
As a country?
Globally.
The world.
The world.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you some stats. 49 to 61% of Americans, 51% of Canadians, 50% of Australians, 55% of South Africans, 42% of UK are living paycheck to paycheck.
I believe it.
I believe it too. So that is an ordeal. So and this includes an increasingly high percent of high earners. 61% do not have savings of 6 months of living expenses, which is what you should have.
Right.
64% do not have multiple streams of income, which you should have.
Mm-hmm.
68% say their investment strategy does not account for a recession.
Okay.
So part of getting out of this is education, which is what coaching is all about, is we need to educate. And by 2030, and now this is the U.S. statistic,
okay,
Social Security will be decreasing. So they will not. So whatever, you know how that you get your Social Security?
Right. They won't be able to
They won't be able to do
maintain
it by 2030.
Right.
And Sharon Lechter got asked to be on the financial council of the White House to help turn this all around.
Well, Social Security is one of those things where it's not that difficult to change the trajectory of that. It just isn't.
And we
just have to have some kind of will to get it done. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So she introduced a guy named Henry. She used it, Henry, and it's an acronym.
Oh, okay.
Henry stands for a high earner, not rich yet.
Gotcha.
Okay, so there's lots of high earners there. We're not rich yet. So about 23 million are defined as Henrys globally. So that means that, in the U.S. That is incomes that are from 100,000 to 250,000.
Okay.
These are the mass affluent. And then there's 2.5 million ultra affluent have incomes 250,000 and above.
Okay.
So that's the top 2 to 3% of households.
Gotcha.
And these are called Henrys. And here's the problem. They work hard and they play hard. They're acting like they're still 20, but they need to make adult decisions.
They're not putting this money away.
They aren't.
They're spending most of it.
Exactly. They're spending most of it.
Gotcha.
So,
Henry. All right.
Exactly, Henry.
Are you listening, Henry?
You are educated and a smart shopper. You want premium pricing, sweet spots. You want quality and workmanship. So here's an example. So baby boomers are optimistic, right? Okay, so they're for of the Henrys. So we have different generations that cross over this.
Yeah.
And no matter what the generation, we're seeing the same issue.
Okay.
So the baby boomers, which are born from 1946 to 64,
okay,
they're optimistic and they're involved. The Gen X's, which are 1965 to 80, they're more skeptic, but they like to have fun.
Yep.
And the Gen Y's like real fun, and they want things instantly. And so the thing is we need to figure out how to get these Henrys, and that might be you, to stop living paycheck to paycheck.
So one of those things that you kind of mentioned is the concept of delayed gratification. So
exactly.
How do we save and put aside that money and not touch it and eat a little bit less well, right?
Exactly. and we have to figure out how to control this. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that.
Okay, great.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
So we're talking today about Peg's trip to Vancouver, Canada, with a group of coaches, and they're from around the world, all over the world. A lot from the U.S., some from Canada, quite a few from Canada, a lot from Australia and New Zealand. And then there's a scattering of other countries. There's some in the Caribbean that we're good friends with.
Lots of people from the Caribbean.
Good. They're growing
Vietnam,
then. Aren't out?
UK, yes.
Vietnam, you say?
Vietnam is really a growing area for
really?
us.
Okay.
In fact, they got the Master Licensee Award for the biggest growth.
Really?
Out of anybody in the world.
That's cool.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And so Sharon was talking to us a little bit. Before the break, we talked about the personal financial crisis that we have. Well, what are we going to do about it? And really, when her initiative, she was on George Bush, and it created a council, a financial council, because we know this is a personal crisis.
So in other words, people aren't saving enough of their money to be able to get through retirement without having a problem.
Honestly, the majority of people aren't. I gave you those statistics ahead
of
time.
Well, in the paper, just in the last couple of weeks, the savings rate in the U.S. is a little over 5%.
Right. So what are we going to do about it? And people aren't really retiring. I mean, by choice, not because of financial. It could be a little bit of both.
As much as they used to.
As much as they used to.
62, you check out.
And you just go fishing. Well, that's not really happening anymore. That's not what people are doing. And they may stop what they're doing and go into a different career.
Right.
But they're not stop working.
Yeah. One of our clients, Jim, who you know, has a friend who retired early and was playing golf, and he got sick of it. He played every day for a long time, and he's like, oh, my God, I'm done with this.
I'm done with this. I'm ready for some challenges.
Right.
So one of the things that I wanted to take everybody through, our listeners through, Pete, is that there is a book called Think and Grow Rich. And this was written by Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill wrote it back in the 20s, late 20s. And he was commissioned by Carnegie. See, Napoleon Hill wanted to write a book of what made people successful. Mm-hmm. So what he did with Carnegie sat and talked to him and said, here's the thing. This is going to take a lot of research, and it's going to be over a long period of time, and you're not going to make a whole lot of money doing this.
Right.
But I'll open all the doors for you to have interviews with presidents and
all these famous
people who are really wealthy. But here's the thing. You also have to write about what makes them fail.
Oh,
so that was what Napoleon Hill has a foundation that Sharon now is in charge of.
Okay.
And she talks a lot about some of the things. Now, this was back, and it's amazing.
He's long since gone.
Obviously,
Napoleon Hill's gone.
Yes, he's gone. Thank you for that. And so now his message lives on. And so here are 14 steps that you need to take in order to really be successful.
Okay.
Because
not just wealth, everything.
Right. Because when you look at wealth and the stages of wealth, it starts really with you and your income, your ability to make money, because from that ability is your ability to invest in it.
Right.
So we have to have that first step solidified.
Uh-huh.
So one of the things we talked about was, we'll go through 14 of these, is define your burning desire, which Michael Lozier also talked about and wrote about as well. Okay. And through his book is Your Life's Purpose. You've got to find your desire and what you're good at, because the more that you're doing what you desire and you're good at, the better you're going to be.
Right. And happier, generally.
Right. And then when you're happier, it's going to be important.
Okay.
I mean, that's how things happen.
Step one.
Step one. And that's how, when we walk in, Pete and I as coaches, we're business coaches, we walk into companies, we help them with their culture. Culture is to create happiness and collaboration,
right,
which increases profitability because obviously people are happier.
Right.
So finding your burning desire. The second one was to operate with faith.
So you have to believe it's going to happen.
Exactly. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in the process.
And your team.
And again, this was Napoleon Hill's research of all the places he went. That Sharon rewrote it from Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, it was originally written in the 30s, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact dates.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah. And really, having faith is really critical, because there is a percentage of people that stop right before they're successful because they get impatient. Right. They don't allow success. And Sharon talked a lot about that. Right. What is it?
The 3 feet from gold story.
The 3 feet from gold. In fact, there's a book that she wrote from that called 3 feet from gold.
Uh-huh.
And from that, How many people stop before they're successful? Pete, describe the 3 feet from goal principle.
And this is based on a true story. So, but I'm sure you can research it maybe in Sharon's book.
It's in her book, and it's also in Think and Grow Rich.
This gentleman owned a gold mine out in the western part of the United States, and he dug and dug and dug for years, and finally got tired and gave up. And somebody bought it very cheaply, and dug 3 feet and became a gazillionaire. I mean, that's what happened. He stopped.
What happened.
He stopped and walked away and said, well, this isn't going to happen. And within a very short period of time, the next guy was very rich.
Very rich. And
we see this with coaches, other coaches, and we see it with business owners as well.
They're 3 feet. They're give up.
Right there.
And
they're tired.
They're tired, they're exhausted, and they lose faith. And that's why that operate with faith is so important.
Okay.
And the story of that gentleman, I think, is he went off and he learned his lesson, and he took a lesson from it instead of being discouraged.
Okay.
And he started a large insurance company, and I don't know the name of the insurance company, very well known, and ended up being wealthy in his own right.
All right.
Later.
Cool. Good.
And learned from that. So
I'm sure he did.
After
he kicked himself a couple times.
If you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I've been doing the same thing, I need to challenge myself, you could be 3 feet from gold. And what do you need to learn to help you get closer?
Well, and one of the things, as we mentioned at the beginning, is you may go to one of these conferences, and one of these speakers, and this has happened to me before, you get this feeling right in the middle of one of their talks where you go, oh my gosh, this person's talking right to me. And you'll have a breakthrough. That's what happens. You have a breakthrough.
And that's what coaching's all about. So if you're interested in having a coaching session with Pete and myself, you could give us a call at 614-306-7922.
And
we will talk to you one-on-one about how to get you inspired and also educated. And it might not just be you. It could be your managers or your team.
Right.
It's not unusual for us to go in and work with teams and to get to that new level. Okay. So going back, what we're talking about is the 14 steps to success. Sharon Lechter is the one that gave us this, but it was researched by Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
So the first one was find your burning desires. Second was operate with faith. The third is use auto-suggestion.
Okay.
And what that is, it's what you're saying to yourself.
Oh, self-talk.
Self-talk.
Yeah. So, and again, I did not keep a copy of this article, but there was an article in the paper a long time ago that said 75% or so of the average American's self-talk is negative.
And we
just the stuff that pops into your head every day.
And she talked about that. That's exactly what we talked about is what is it you're thinking? Because you've ever heard of a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah, you're out there mowing the lawn going, oh, man, I haven't done this. And, oh, I didn't do that. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh, I'm such a dope. I didn't do that.
Right. And so one of the things that was interesting about the auto-suggestion is that after Napoleon Hill wrote all of this Think and Grow Rich, he was not himself rich, and he was frustrated.
Yeah.
And so he wrote another book that just came out. It was not discovered. It was hidden away until very recently.
Uh-huh.
And it's called Outwitting the Devil. It is now written.
Oh, you brought me one of those.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I did. It is. It's Sharon Lechter is in there, and she's got notes in it, and it's Napoleon Hill's words.
Okay.
And what it was is, it was him saying how he was getting in his own way.
Gotcha.
And so the book is
mental baggage.
Mental baggage.
Yeah.
And that's why auto-suggestion is so important, because usually you're not farther because of yourself.
Okay.
You're getting in your own way.
You're holding yourself back.
You're holding yourself back.
In a lot of cases.
And that funny part is I was talking with Sharon, and the reason that it wasn't published until now is that Napoleon Hill's wife was a very Christian person and didn't like the fact that it was Outwitting the Devil, the title.
Oh,
she thought that was bad. So,
but I'm okay with it because you're outwitting him.
Right.
That's what we should be doing.
Exactly.
Right?
So,
right.
What you're saying to yourself is very important. And then this is actually it's on audio, and it's a really good book.
Okay.
So
awesome.
So anyway, going back to this, we have the fourth one was apply specialized knowledge.
Okay.
Which you and I talked about. And it was, what is your niche? What are you good at? What are you learning? It's why we go to school. It's what are we continuing to learn?
What do you know about your business if you applied it to another business would help that business grow?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. That's good.
And then the fifth one, employ your imagination.
Your imagination. Oh.
Growing, yes. Innovating. Okay. What are the possibilities? Okay. Your vision. Imagine all of that.
Get your team involved, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, this is, again, what we're reviewing is the 14 steps on how to truly grow so that this personal financial crisis that we're all in the world, we can overcome it.
Okay.
The next one is be organized in your planning. This is what successful people are. And it was good because Sharon's like, how many people are not necessarily organized, or is that not necessarily one of their strengths? And there's a lot of hands that went up, and she goes, well, then employ somebody to help you with that.
Yeah, get some professional help with that. Right?
Exactly.
Good.
Okay, the 7th one of the 14 steps is be decisive.
Okay.
As my basketball coach used to tell me, indecision is no decision. And getting too many people to weigh in what you should do or you shouldn't do could be detrimental.
Right. And we'd like to remind our clients that generally speaking, that the faster you go, the more progress you're going to make, usually. Now, you will make some incorrect decisions sometimes, but as long as you keep going, you're going to get where you want to go faster. Exactly. If you make decisions faster. Once you have the information you need to make a decision, you need to make it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so the number 8, Pete, is be persistent in your pursuits. That's that 3 feet from gold. Persistence. Okay. Yeah. A lot of times,
that's a big one.
We do see people stopping before it's successful.
Okay.
So you can see we have so much more to talk about.
Right. Well, we'll continue this.
Maybe what we're going to do is our next show, what we'll do is talk not only about this, but we want to talk a little bit about Michael Lozier and finishing up with Sharon Lecter. It's going to be wonderful.
Fantastic.
So thank you so much for listening.
And again, this is Peg and Pete, and we'll be here every Saturday at 1 o'clock on Business Talk.
And go to takeactionbusinesscoaching.com to see all our other shows that are all archived.
This has been Business Talk, your business, your success, sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given was not intended to replace that of your business advisor. For more information about the topics discussed today, call 614-306-7922. 614-306-7922. Tune in next week at this time for more Business Talk, your business, your success.